Hey guys, we are on lesson 2 now of unit 3.3. We're going to be doing box plots. Specifically, the lesson is called Representing Real World Data with Box Plots. This is the main thing we're doing today. Now, to understand the aspects of box plots, there are 5 different things that we need to know. And I'm going to kind of color code these. So a box plot displays a 5-number summary. So there's 5 different things that we need to know. It consists of a minimum. It consists of the first, it's called quartile. You'll also see this as Q1. In the middle is the median. After that is the third quartile. You'll also see that referred to as Q3. And then finally, there is a max. Sorry, the video is a little shaky. So this is what a box plot looks like here. We have our minimum value. It is a straight line going here. It stops here at Q1, which is the lowest 25%. Right here in the middle, that's our median. That's the 50%. The third quartile, also known as the upper quartile, or Q3, that's our 75%. And then finally, our max is over here. So basically what is going on is that over here we have 25%. Once we hit this point, we see another 25%. From here to here, we have another 25%. And then until we hit our max, there's another. Once you put all that together, we're going to equal 100%. So this is basically just a way to show data and how much of it is in the bottom 25%, the second quartile, the third quartile, and then finally the fourth quartile. Core, the QUA, like this, QUA, that usually means 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. When we go over a few examples of this, you'll get a little bit of a better understanding of it. So let's go ahead and do an example. So the first thing that we want to do here is we have all of this data here and it's out of order. So that's really annoying, especially because this data is, there's a lot of data points there, 3, 4, 8, 12, there's a lot. So the first thing we need to do is we need to put it all in order. So I'm going to do that right down here just so we have a better visual for it. Now we could just go through here and say, okay, 3 and then 4 and going on. I have it written already, so I'm just going to go ahead and get through this pretty quickly. We have 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 12, 12, 14. So you guys can see all of that. So with this data, now that it's all in order, we're going to start to find the minimum and the maximum because that's our easy guys. So I'm going to use red for our minimum. This is going to go all the way over here. That is our minimum. For our maximum, I'm going to use purple. This guy's over here. That's our max. Now the third thing we want to do is find our median. So basically with the median, we want to find the number that's directly in the middle. Now the thing that's going to happen is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We have 20 numbers. So if I cut this in half, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So basically what happens is our middle is right here. So we have two numbers that are the median. We have a 7 and an 8. Basically what we're going to do is find the number that is in the middle. So if we do 7 plus 8 and then divide it by 2, we're going to get 7.5. That right there is our median, 7.5. Now, the first quartile and the third quartile, or Q1 and Q3, is basically going to be the medians that are between the mid and the median. So it's whatever number is in the middle here and whatever number is in the middle here. So if we count this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers, right? Now, basically, what that means is we're going to have, if we kind of eliminate them, so we have this number, we have that number, we have this number, and the numbers that are in the middle are these 4s right here. Of course, if I just take the average of 4 and 4, I know that 4 is going to be my Q1. To find the Q3, we're going to do the same thing over here. So we're going to say like, okay, so we had, 4 numbers on each side, 1, 2, 3, 4, that 10 and 10, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So these 10s right here are our Q3. And then of course, 10 plus 10 divided by 2, that's going to have 10 as our Q3. That is our third quartile. So we have all the information here. Now we can draw our own box plot. I'm going to do it right here. So basically, we have numbers ranging from 2 to 14. So it might be a little tiny, but you'll see it here. I'm going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have our number line with all of our numbers here. The minimum is going to be 2. So how I'm going to start this is I'm going to put a dot right here. I'm going to put a dot at 14, which is our max. And I'm going to put a dot also at 4, at our median, which is 7.5, so it's about right here. And then our Q3, which is 10. So those are our 5 points. Now to make the box plot, we're going to draw a line from the minimum to the first quartile. And then this is going to kind of open up. And it's going to go until the third quartile, like that. That median number, that's 7.5, you're going to draw a line there. After the third quartile, we're going to just draw a line to the maximum. So basically, if we read this, we have our minimum at 2, we have our first quartile at 4, we have our median at 7.5, which is right here. Third quartile is at 10, maximum at 14. So to answer some questions about this, because this is kind of the important part here, the softball team scored more than blank runs in 50% of all games. So basically what it wants is 50% is right here in the middle. So if we look at that number, the softball team scored more than 7.5 runs in 50 games. So this is our median. The next question is saying half of the data values are between blank and blank runs. So with that, we're going to look at our quartiles, our first and our third. So half is from here to here. That's 50% because this is 25 and that's 25%. 25%, 25%, 25, and 25. So if it asks for half, which is 50, we're going to look at the middle 50%. So it starts at 4 and it goes to 10. It says the most runs they scored in a game, basically meaning the maximum, was 14. And the fewest, which is our minimum, was 2. The next question is saying in their worst 25% of the game, so the worst 25, meaning this guy here, the team scored at most 4 runs. Because we're going to look at the lowest 25% and see what the highest that is. So that was 4. The last question is saying in the best 25. So we're going to look over here at the best 25, and they scored between the max, which was 14, and Q3 started at 10. So that's how we do this. It's just another way to show data. This one kind of gives you a better, general look at everything at all the points rather than just the individual data. It's more just okay, I see that the median's here. I see that it's like breaking it up. You see this a lot with school because a lot of focus is on the kids that struggle with school a lot. So oftentimes we'll see that we focus a lot on the lowest 25% in terms of success and knowledge to try to get them to at least maybe get somewhere in here. And then all of these kids in the middle, we want them to move up here to the top. So it's a process. So this is just one way to show data. Moving on. There's not much to show here. This isn't really an example. It's more just to get you thinking. So in this example, it shows us the lower half and the upper half. And if we look at this, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 15 numbers here, right? If you do 15 divided by 2 to find that median, you're going to have one number by itself. So we have one number in the median, and then on either side we have 7. So it's almost like even though it's an odd number, this median, it kind of makes it a little bit easier because then we have 3 numbers here. Let me write this down. So we have our median here. We have our Q3 and our Q1. And then look, we have 3, 3, 3, and 3. It's kind of nice and even. And that's when we have an odd number of data points. This, I know it's a little hard to see on this, but this is showing when there is an even amount versus an odd. An odd is just like that, where we have one number in the middle, and then things are quite even. But here, the median is that number that's in the middle, like that first example. And you're going to have to do the same thing with Q1 and Q2. You basically have to take the average between each of these. And that's where we take 2 numbers and then we divide it by how many numbers there are, in this case 2. So it'd be 4 plus 5 divided by 2, that's 4.5. So that's just kind of an example there. We have 2 more examples to do, guys. This will be a lot quicker than my last lesson. Sorry, it went a little bit long. New to this whole digital learning thing. Okay. So this one, it gives you the box plot already. And it's just kind of asking, there we go. So, so it gives us a bunch of data. It's saying the daily high temperatures in 14 consecutive days. So there's 14 data points, and they're not in order. We're going to need to put them in order. Thankfully, it kind of already does it right here. So 34 to 62. 34 is right. It doesn't start at 34. So let's go ahead and kind of put this in order. Hold on one sec, sorry. So we have our data. Use the data to make a box plot. So we're going to look at this and say, what is our low and what is our high, or our min and our max? This will help us kind of with our starting points here. So our minimum is going to be okay, sorry, I skipped a question, but we'll come back to it. Okay, so we know that 38 right here is going to be our minimum, and we know our max is right here, which is 59. So I know that I can put a dot at 38, and I can put a dot at 50, 59, 60, 61. So it'd be about right here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just put this in order to make things a little bit easier. So again, we're going to put in order. So we have 38, we have 43, we have 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 51, 51, 51, 51, 2, 3, 4, good there, 52, and 59. So we already said that this is our min, that's our max. If we try to find a number in between, we know there's 14, right? So there's going to be 7 on both sides. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 just to make sure. So right here, this is our median. Because they're the same number, we can just already assume that our median is going to be 49. So we're going to go back up here and say 47, 48, 49. So our median is right around there. Now we're going to look at the numbers in between for our Q1 and our Q3. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers in between. So we're going to say this number, notice there's 2 and 2 in between, is our Q1. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers, good there. And we're going to say this number, notice 2 and 2, is our Q3. So 46 and 51. Right here and right here. It's a little tight. So here now we can start to draw our lines. Doesn't need to be too pretty, as long as you can kind of see. So this is our min, this is our max, this is our Q1, this is our Q3, and this is our median. Now, the questions that it is asking is, what does the first quartile represent? So the first quartile, which is right here, is right here. What does it represent? That means that it is the lowest 25% of the highest temperatures during these 14 days. What do the high temperatures between 38 and 51 represent? So basically it's asking between 38 and 51. So from the minimum to the Q3, what do those mean? So basically Q1 is 25%. Sometimes it's called Q2, which is just our median, is also 25. And then Q3 is also 25. So if you put all those together, between here and here, that's going to be 75%. The rest of this over here is the last 25. To answer the rest of these questions, half of the high temperatures during this period fell at blank or above. So basically, when it's talking about half, it's talking about 50%. So half of that is going to be at the 49, right? So 49. 49, which is our median, and above. The high temperature on the hottest day during this period, which is our max, all we got to do is say, where does the max? Oh yeah, 59. while there are some colder and warmer days, 50% of the days had high temperatures that fell between, and all we got to do is look at this right here, 46 to 51, 46 to 51. So that's pretty much as complicated as this is going to get. But let's just do one more example that I accidentally skipped, which is right here. This is example 2. Now this one gives you the information here, and it's asking questions about it. So it gives you the box plot already. This first one is just saying, like, use a vocab to label the box plot. So of course we have our minimum, we have our max, we have our median. I know it's really tiny. And then here we have our Q1, our quartile 1, and here we have our quartile 3. Now looking at this, it says the 50th percentile of the data. So 50 meaning, you know, directly in the middle, the median. Sorry, 1 second. So this right here is talking about the median. When it's talking about 50%, it's talking about the median. So here we're going to look and say, oh yeah, that's at 12. Half of the data values, so, you know, when it's talking about half, it's talking about that middle 50%. Because remember, 25, 25, 25, 25. So the middle is between 8 and 14. And if you remember, that's our Q1, which is right here, and our Q3, which is right there. So it's between 8 and 12, sorry, 8 and 14, so it's going to be this guy right here, 8 and 14. That's our 50%. The next question is saying 75 of the students send this option or fewer. So when it's talking about that, it's talking about here to here, 25 plus 25 plus 25, 75. So here it's going to be 14, which is our Q3, which is 14. One final thing, add dots to the number line to complete the dot plot. So we have a box plot here, and it wants us to translate it into what we did on our last lesson, which is a box plot. Sorry, a dot plot. So we have to kind of look at some other information here. If you look at this, it says that 10 different students sent in one day. So Snapchat sent 10 different students. So we know there needs to be 10 dots of data on here. Right now, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need to add 3. We also know, based on this information here, that the minimum is 2 and the max is 20. So if we look at this, oh look, there's a minimum right there. That's good. But if we look at the max, we would need to add a dot right here. So now we need to go 2. If we then look, we know that the Q1 is at 8, right? So look, there's nothing at 8, so we need to add another one at 8. Now, the only other tricky thing, and it's a little hard to explain right now, we might go further into this later on, is that because if we notice, this is kind of our middle, you know, half right here, right? This is our middle half. There needs to be one more dot, and if we look, there's 1 and 2 on the outside, meaning there needs to be another one somewhere between here and here, our max. So let's just go ahead and kind of throw it anywhere. I would say putting it around like 18 would be fine. We could go ahead and do the math on this and just kind of find the average and the median from there. But a good estimate is fine, as long as it, you know, isn't too crucial in terms of getting exact information. So that's how we do that. That's how you would translate it into a dot plot. You kind of have to think outside the box a little bit on that one. So that is the second lesson, guys. This one was a little tricky. It was a little hard to kind of show good examples on this. When you do the Khan Academy, it'll make a little bit more sense once you try it for yourself. And if you have any questions, I'll be available 12 to 3 on the Zoom meeting. And if you have any trouble connecting, will you let me know? Because I have one student that is telling me that it's blocked, but I've had a few others successfully get on. So let me know if you're having any issue, guys. All right, thanks.